Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about Dragooned Masters. Now, what are Dragooned Masters? So, first of all, Dragon Master is a Dungeons and Dragons player. I think that's the best term for it. I don't use player. I think it's very harmful. I think it's harmful language. I really do. To say Dungeon Master, we control the world. We determine all of the weather. We control the deities and every single creature in this entire world, except for you over there. Oh, yeah, you player. Disgusting, small, useless, playing. I'm creating. I'm world building, but you're playing. Player is a disgusting term, and we really need to get rid of it. I really believe the correct term for a Dungeons & Dragons player is Dragon Master. They are the people who bring to life the purest catalyst, right? The entire reason that the session is happening, right? That the campaign is happening. There's no campaign without the 5 Dragon Masters: the Red Dragon Master, the White Dragon Master, the Blue Dragon Master, the Green Dragon Master, the Black Dragon Master, right? There's no campaign without them, right? Dragon Master, okay? So Dragon Master, Dungeons & Dragons player. Dragooned Master, what is it? Well, let's talk about it. It is a Dragon Master who has been deadbeat dadded, all right? So why are we talking about deadbeat dads? Well, there's a very interesting story coming from Hollywood. It is the film Bookworm, and it uses Elijah Wood, an incredibly charismatic, very sympathetic Hollywood actor, to try to start to have a conversation, a very real conversation about deadbeat dads, right? So he is a deadbeat dad. He has not seen his child in 10 years. And something happens to the mother of this young girl who is a bookworm, right? And so the story is about a deadbeat dad. And it's made me think a lot about deadbeat dungeon masters. So I did 2 videos on deadbeat dungeon masters already. And guess what? This is exactly the reason I love being here on YouTube. I say things and then you say things. So I said, hey, are you a deadbeat dad? And somebody came up right in the comments and said, yes, guilty as charged. I'm a deadbeat dad. So I'm a deadbeat dungeon master. So, excuse me. I'm a deadbeat dungeon master. So what did they do? They started a campaign, right? And then they gathered their 5 dragon masters, and then they abruptly ended the campaign. Why? Because the blue dragon master was a jerk and was giving this dungeon master a ton of trouble, right? Now, could you imagine? So we now, first of all, we know there are deadbeat dungeon masters. We have one signing up and saying, hey, you nailed it. I am a deadbeat dungeon master. I gathered together these 5 players. We started the campaign, and then I abandoned them all. And you know why I abandoned them all? One of them was a straight jerk. Well, first of all, okay, when you sit down, when you take on the crown of, I want to say thank you to that person. I really appreciate the transparency there, the honesty there. It's very helpful, right? So get this, right? When you bring these people to the table, right, it very much is like fatherhood. You have a responsibility. You have an obligation. And if you're bringing the 5 dragon masters to the table, you actually have a responsibility to literally at least 11 people, right? Each dragon master at the table, you have a responsibility to them. Each one of those incredibly important, incredibly valuable, incredibly special, incredibly unique dragon master characters, right? These player, what other people call player characters. You have a responsibility to every one of them, and you have a responsibility to yourself. That's 11 people, right? You owe a real responsibility to exactly the same way. I would say exactly in a way that 90% models a father. You need to respect them. You need to show kindness to them. You need to show love to them. You need to help them to grow, to improve, to learn, to transform, right? And this person admitted, I did nothing of that for these people. Because one of them was a jerk, I yeeted, right? That is deadbeat dadding at the table. That is deadbeat dadding with a dungeon master crown on your head. And that is disgusting. That is terrible. That is a terrible, terrible, terrible thing, right? It is really bad. Could you imagine a father who's like, I got 5 kids, but I'm eating out because one of them's a straight up jerk? It's on you to fix them. It's on you. It's on you. Like, and this is the thing I love, right? I now know there's at least one real deadbeat dungeon master, right? Who is causing the exact same harm that deadbeat dads are causing in America right now, right? And there's millions of them. Now, I don't think there are millions of deadbeat dungeon masters. I think there are hundreds of thousands of them. I actually think there are 750,000 deadbeat dungeon masters in the world right now. And I think there's a total of 15 million. Oh, you know what? I'll up that. I do think I think there's 15 million dungeon masters in the whole world based on current numbers from Hasbro, right? I think knowing that we have 15 million dungeon masters in the entire world, no more, and very strongly there's evidence that there is not more than that. We're kind of in a shortage. I would say that 1 million of them are deadbeat dungeon masters. So I do think we have 1 million deadbeat dungeon masters. All right, so first of all, what are we accomplishing in this video? We're accomplishing a couple things. One, we're going to name them, okay? So if you have been deadbeat dadded by a dungeon master, right, and your campaign was abandoned without a good reason, well, actually, there's no good reason to abandon a campaign. No good reason, okay? Then you are a dragooned master. You are not a dragon master. You are a dragooned master. Now, what should we, as a D&D community of good dungeon masters, faithful dungeon masters, loving dungeon masters, what should we do for dragoon dungeon masters? Well, whenever we start a campaign, we should invite whoever we wish to be at the table. At the beginning of the first session, we should say, hey, is anyone here a dragooned dragon master? And that means that your last campaign was abandoned by the dungeon master. If the answer is yes, then we acknowledge you as a dragooned dungeon master. Here's what you get. You get 3 levels that nobody else at the table gets, right? And in addition to that, all of your damage dice, whether they're spells or, whether you're a caster or martial combat, will explode, right? And you are going to get to physically choose whatever seat you like at the table, right? And so just point out somebody at the table, they'll pick up all their crap, they'll move, you will sit in their prime seat that you chose, right? So physical seat choice, 3 levels that nobody else gets, and all your damage dice explode. Now, why are we doing this? Why are we as a dungeon master saying you as a dragooned master get special treatment? Why are we doing this? To love them, to counteract the hatred that their deadbeat dungeon master gave them, to make their world better and say, you have been unfairly treated. And I, as a good, loving, kind, and diligent dungeon master, am going to fix what that deadbeat dungeon master did to you. Oh, oh yeah, well, that's good. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, and that's it. That's what we do. We identify dragooned dungeon masters, and then we put them in privileged space to fix the harm that the D&D community did to them from this 1 million deadbeat dungeon masters. That, in my humble opinion, is the best way to identify deadbeat dadded players, right? Dragooned masters, and the best way to heal them, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send them traffic. Please consider subscribing and have a fetch millennium.